Every so often, the world of performance machines reaches a point where ambition overtakes logic. Where engineers chase perfection not because the market asked for it, but because they could not resist seeing how far mechanical imagination could go. It is the moment when noise becomes music, and speed becomes sculpture. In the late 1970s, one such creation appeared, rewriting what a motorcycle could sound like, how it could look, and what it could make a rider feel. It was a rolling demonstration of excess and elegance, a test of whether technology could also be emotion. Today, we revisit that daring gamble, exploring its origins, its genius, and the lasting echo it left across generations of riders and engineers. This story is about obsession, innovation, and a machine that made the entire motorcycling world stop and stare. Before we dive in, make sure to like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments which legendary machine you want covered next. In 1979, Honda introduced the CBX1000, a motorcycle that redefined mechanical audacity and engineering ambition. It was unlike anything that had rolled out of a factory before. A 6-cylinder, 24-valve, 105 horsepower statement built to silence anyone who doubted Honda's dominance. To appreciate the CBX1000, we have to understand the landscape of the late 1970s. Motorcycling was in a fevered state of evolution. Manufacturers were chasing performance, refinement, and prestige all at once. Inline fours had become the standard of power, but the arms race demanded something greater. Honda engineers, driven by both pride and technical curiosity, took inspiration from the company's Grand Prix racing heritage, where 6-cylinder engines had once screamed around circuits in the 1960s. They believed that sound, smoothness, and spectacle could coexist in a single road machine. Building the CBX1000 was not just about horsepower. It was about showcasing mastery. The design team, led by Shoichiro Irimajiri, who had worked on Honda's RC Series racing engines, knew the 6-cylinder layout could deliver unmatched balance and responsiveness. However, squeezing that much complexity into a street bike presented enormous packaging challenges. The engine had to be compact enough to fit between the rider's legs without compromising handling or aerodynamics. Honda's solution was to tilt the cylinders forward, narrowing the overall profile, and use a chain-driven cam system to keep the top end slim. The result was a machine only marginally wider than a typical 4-cylinder bike of the day, yet it housed nearly twice the number of parts. The first time anyone heard the CBX1000 fire up, it was clear this was not a motorcycle meant to whisper. Its exhaust note rose with a liquid smoothness that felt more symphonic than mechanical. A wail that captured the imagination of enthusiasts and journalists alike. Reviewers described it as both intoxicating and intimidating. The CBX wasn't just fast, it was ferocious in character. From idle to redline, it poured out power with a sense of mechanical precision rarely experienced outside of racing. At 10,000 revolutions per minute, the sound was closer to a Formula One car than a motorcycle, a shrill celebration of combustion and balance. But with such boldness came complexity. The CBX1000 weighed over 600 pounds wet, a substantial figure even for its class. That mass translated to stability at speed, but also made tight maneuvers and quick direction changes a test of skill. The braking system, featuring dual front discs and a single rear, was capable but demanded a firm hand. In straight-line acceleration, however, the CBX was unstoppable. It could surge past 130 miles per hour with minimal vibration, the 6 pistons moving in perfect harmony. Riders described the sensation as silky and relentless, as though the motorcycle's power band had no edges. Visually, the CBX1000 was a masterpiece of late 70s design ethos. The wide engine dominated the bike's profile, its polished aluminum cam covers and 6 gleaming exhaust headers giving it an unmistakable presence. It looked fast even when parked. Honda complemented the engineering spectacle with understated graphics, allowing the metalwork to speak for itself. The instrument cluster featured twin large dials flanked by smaller gauges, emphasizing the bike's technical sophistication. For many, the CBX was a form of industrial art, merging elegance with mechanical aggression. Despite its brilliance, Honda faced an immediate question. Who exactly was this motorcycle for? The CBX1000's combination of price, size, and performance placed it at the top of the market. It was a dream machine for experienced riders, but few could afford or fully utilize it. Dealers soon realized that customers admired the CBX more than they purchased it. Its engine complexity also meant higher maintenance, which contrasted with Honda's reputation for simple, dependable machines. Still, the company pressed forward, positioning the CBX as a flagship of innovation rather than a mass-market product. The CBX1000's debut came at a time when the global economy was uncertain. The oil crises of the 1970s had made large displacement motorcycles seem indulgent to many consumers. Yet Honda, confident in its engineering prowess, viewed the CBX as a halo product, designed to inspire rather than dominate sales charts. It was a rolling laboratory, a statement that the company could engineer beyond the limits of convention. The CBX wasn't just about selling motorcycles. It was about selling belief in Honda's technological leadership. Riding the CBX1000 was an experience that tested both nerve and skill. Throttle response was immediate, almost telepathic, and the 6 carburetors demanded precision tuning. The engine pulled cleanly from low RPM, but once the tachometer swept past 7,000, it unleashed a surge that few riders were prepared for. The sound alone was enough to turn heads blocks away. Yet, for all its power, the bike's handling required respect. Cornering had to be planned. The long wheelbase and considerable weight resisted sudden inputs. Those who mastered it found a rhythm unlike any other motorcycle, where smoothness rewarded bravery. The CBX1000's engineering also introduced several subtleties that revealed Honda's obsessive attention to detail. The alternator and ignition components were placed behind the engine to minimize frontal width. The cam chain tensioners were designed for longevity and stability at extreme RPM. Every decision balanced innovation with reliability, a hallmark of Honda's design philosophy. Even the engine mounts were tuned to reduce vibration transfer, making the ride surprisingly civilized at highway speeds. Yet, for all its achievements, the CBX1000 was a paradox. It was both too advanced and too specialized for the market of its time. Honda had built a motorcycle that transcended practicality. It was art disguised as transportation. The 6-cylinder engine symbolized a peak of mechanical indulgence, just as the industry began shifting toward efficiency and simplicity. Riders admired it, magazines praised it, but the sales numbers told another story. Honda soon realized that the CBX would remain a legend, not a leader, in its lineup. Still, the CBX1000 had accomplished what it set out to do. It reasserted Honda's place at the forefront of engineering innovation and reminded the world that motorcycles could be both functional machines and emotional experiences. Its presence in showrooms drew attention to every other Honda model, elevating the brand's image even as the CBX itself sold in modest numbers. The 6-cylinder superbike had made its mark. It had proven that audacity could exist within precision. And though its commercial success was limited, its cultural impact was only beginning to unfold. As the CBX1000 matured beyond its 1979 debut, Honda began refining what it had created, searching for a way to balance raw spectacle with broader appeal. The company understood that while the CBX1000 was an engineering marvel, it also needed to survive in a changing market where lighter, more practical motorcycles were gaining momentum. In 1980, Honda introduced updates to the CBX1000, including revised suspension, improved carburation, and minor styling tweaks. These adjustments softened the bike's edges without dulling its identity, but the challenge remained. Could a 6-cylinder superbike coexist with an industry moving toward compact efficiency? The answer lay in how riders interpreted performance. The CBX1000's engine remained its crown jewel, an inline-6 masterpiece producing around 105 horsepower. Yet what made it extraordinary was not just output, it was the experience. Each revolution of its crankshaft was a study in mechanical harmony. The pistons moved with such precision that vibration nearly vanished, leaving only the smooth rush of acceleration. This engine wasn't about brute strength alone, it was about refinement under pressure, an idea Honda considered central to its philosophy. The company wanted the CBX to communicate that power could also be civilized, that performance could feel luxurious rather than punishing. In an era dominated by straight-line speed contests, that idea was ahead of its time. Many riders expected a superbike to feel raw and aggressive, while the CBX1000 offered composure and sophistication. Its dual overhead camshaft layout and 6 carburetors made it responsive yet manageable. The transmission shifted with trademark Honda precision, and even though the machine weighed significantly more than most rivals, It retained balance thanks to thoughtful weight distribution and a low center of gravity. The CBX didn't corner like a lightweight sport bike, but it delivered stability and control that inspired confidence at high speeds. Honda engineers were acutely aware that they had created something more symbolic than commercial. Internally, the CBX1000 was viewed as a showcase project, demonstrating what the company's R&D department could achieve when freed from budgetary constraints. Every detail, from the way its exhaust system flowed to how its cooling fins were machined, reflected obsessive craftsmanship. The sound of the CBX became its unofficial signature. Unlike the coarse roar of a typical inline 4, the six-cylinder note was layered and complex, rising into a silky howl that defined an era of mechanical artistry. Yet, as the early 1980s approached, a shift in the motorcycling world was unavoidable. The new generation of riders demanded practicality, affordability, and efficiency. Fuel prices were rising, and insurance rates on high-displacement motorcycles soared. Honda's competitors began introducing smaller, more aerodynamic sport bikes that promised similar speed with lower weight and cost. The CBX1000 suddenly felt like a beautiful relic of a bolder time. Honda, pragmatic as ever, pivoted its strategy. The CBX evolved into a sport touring model, with fairings and saddlebags transforming it from a pure superbike into a high-speed cruiser. This transformation highlighted both the flexibility and the limits of the CBX platform. As a touring motorcycle, its smoothness made long-distance rides effortless. The six-cylinder engine barely strained at highway speeds, maintaining composure mile after mile. Riders appreciated the newfound comfort and wind protection, but purists lamented the dilution of its original spirit. The CBX1000 had been conceived as a statement of excess, a rolling embodiment of engineering audacity. Turning it into a practical tourer felt like asking a symphony to perform elevator music. Still, the change extended the bike's life, and for some, it became the perfect balance between performance and comfort. Within Honda, lessons from the CBX1000 began influencing the next generation of motorcycles. Engineers learned the importance of packaging efficiency, heat management, and vibration control in large multi-cylinder engines. The CBX also revealed the limits of consumer tolerance for complexity. Servicing 6 carburetors was labor-intensive, and owners soon realized that maintenance costs could be daunting. As a result, Honda shifted its innovation efforts toward making high-performance machines that were easier to live with. The technology that powered the CBX indirectly paved the way for advancements in future engines, particularly in achieving smoothness and responsiveness from smaller displacements. Culturally, the CBX1000 gained a cult following almost immediately after its discontinuation. Motorcycle magazines called it a mechanical masterpiece ahead of its time. Collectors sought it out not because it was the fastest or most practical, but because it represented a turning point in design philosophy. It was one of the last motorcycles to put spectacle above strategy, where the question was not how efficiently it could perform but how gloriously it could do so. Even today, enthusiasts describe hearing a CBX on full song as a near-religious experience. The sound has become as iconic as the bike itself. The late 1970s and early 1980s were a period of experimentation across the motorcycle industry, but few experiments were as bold as the CBX1000. Honda had built a 6-cylinder superbike during a time when 4-cylinder machines were still considered exotic. The decision defied market logic but reinforced the brand's reputation for innovation. By taking that risk, Honda demonstrated that engineering excellence could serve as a form of storytelling, a way to communicate values through design and performance. The CBX was not just a motorcycle. It was a message that complexity, when executed with precision, could evoke emotion. Riders who owned a CBX1000 often spoke of it in deeply personal terms. They admired its mechanical honesty, the way it demanded engagement and respect. It was not a forgiving machine for beginners, but it rewarded those who approached it with skill and patience. Its massive engine delivered linear, predictable power. Its chassis, though heavy, responded beautifully to smooth input. The CBX taught a generation of riders that speed was not just about numbers. It was about the quality of motion, the sensation of effort meeting refinement. For Honda, the CBX1000 became a touchstone of its identity. It reminded the company that innovation carries both risk and reward. The bike's existence reinforced Honda's image as a brand unafraid to dream beyond practicality. Even if the CBX was not a financial success, it elevated the brand's credibility in ways that marketing never could. The six-cylinder engine stood as a symbol of mastery, a tangible expression of Honda's belief that engineering could be art. By the time production wound down, the CBX1000 had already entered the realm of legend. Its brief lifespan made it all the more memorable, like a comet that shines too brightly to last. The motorcycle world moved on to other technologies: turbos, liquid cooling, lightweight frames. But the CBX remained a reference point for what happens when ambition outpaces convention. It had proven that even in a market governed by practicality, there was still room for poetry written in metal and motion. The CBX1000 was proof that sometimes, creating something extraordinary matters more than sustaining it. By the early 1980s, the Honda CBX1000 had transitioned from a radical superbike to a more composed sport touring machine. Yet its core identity remained unmistakable. Honda understood that even if the CBX was evolving in purpose, it could never lose the character that made it legendary. The six-cylinder engine, with its mesmerizing smoothness and distinctive exhaust note, continued to be the centerpiece of its appeal. It represented an era when engineers built machines not just for the road, but for the soul. In the CBX1000's final years, Honda focused on refinement rather than reinvention. The later models, particularly the CBX-B and CBX-C, gained features that made them more livable. Larger fairings, improved suspension, and touring-oriented ergonomics transformed the bike into a grand tourer capable of devouring highways with confidence. The engine's broad power delivery meant effortless passing at any speed, while the fairing reduced fatigue during long rides. It was a new interpretation of performance, less about sheer numbers and more about endurance, comfort, and grace under pressure. For many riders, this shift was bittersweet. The original 1979 CBX1000 had been raw and dramatic, a rolling concert of mechanical emotion. The later versions, though superior in practicality, felt more restrained. Yet, this transformation was inevitable. The motorcycle market was evolving. Customers wanted comfort and versatility, and manufacturers could no longer rely solely on spectacle. Honda's decision to adapt the CBX reflected its pragmatism. The same company that once shocked the world with innovation now proved it could listen to the market without losing its integrity. Behind the scenes, the CBX1000 had another purpose. It was a laboratory for ideas that would influence Honda's future designs. Engineers who worked on the CBX carried its lessons into subsequent projects, refining concepts of balance, weight distribution, and reliability. The understanding gained from managing six cylinders in harmony informed everything from Honda's touring bikes to its automotive engines. The CBX became part of Honda's DNA, shaping how the company approached performance without compromise. As the CBX1000's production came to an end in 1982, Honda closed a chapter on one of the boldest experiments in motorcycle history. Only a few thousand units were produced over its lifespan, making it an instant collectible. Enthusiasts recognized it as a symbol of an era when creativity took precedence over cost analysis. The CBX was not designed to dominate sales charts. It was meant to push boundaries. In that sense, it succeeded spectacularly. Its limited run ensured exclusivity, and as time passed, its rarity only enhanced its mystique. In the years following its discontinuation, the CBX1000 achieved something few motorcycles manage. It transcended its own specifications. The numbers, displacement, horsepower, top speed, became secondary to the feelings it inspired. Owners described the experience of starting the engine as an event, a ritual that connected them to an age when machines were both analog and alive. The CBX demanded care, attention, and respect, and in return, it offered one of the most satisfying riding experiences imaginable. It was a reminder that motorcycles, at their best, are emotional instruments as much as mechanical ones. By the 1990s, the CBX1000 had solidified its reputation as a collector's icon. Restored examples began appearing at shows and auctions, drawing admiration from new generations who had never witnessed its debut. Mechanics who worked on them spoke of the precision engineering that still impressed decades later. Every component, from the valve train to the carburetors, revealed craftsmanship that bordered on artistry. Even those who never rode one could appreciate the CBX as a work of industrial design, where form and function coexisted in perfect tension. The motorcycle community's reverence for the CBX1000 is not built solely on nostalgia. It endures because it represents an ideal rarely achieved, the pursuit of perfection for its own sake. In a world that often prioritizes efficiency and profit, the CBX stands as a defiant reminder that passion can drive innovation just as effectively as market research. Honda's willingness to invest in such an ambitious project reaffirmed its commitment to engineering excellence. Even today, many industry insiders credit the CBX with inspiring future generations of designers to think beyond constraints. Culturally, the CBX1000 occupies a unique space. It bridges the gap between the mechanical exuberance of the 1970s and the calculated precision of the modern era. It exists at the crossroads of art and science, a machine that celebrates excess while maintaining elegance. When displayed at motorcycle museums or classic shows, it still draws crowds not because of its rarity alone, but because of what it symbolizes. A time when engineers pursued impossible ideas simply because they were possible. That spirit, once embodied by the CBX, continues to influence how people think about performance and beauty in machinery. Modern riders who experience the CBX1000 often come away surprised at how contemporary it feels. Despite its age, the smoothness of its six-cylinder engine and the linearity of its power delivery rival many modern machines. It does not feel crude or outdated. Rather, it feels refined, deliberate, and confident. That timelessness is a testament to Honda's engineering foresight. The CBX may have been a product of the late 1970s, but its spirit is universal. It reminds every rider that technology, when executed with care and imagination, can transcend time itself. Looking back, it is clear that the CBX1000's impact went far beyond its production numbers. It set a benchmark for how motorcycles could express identity through engineering. It showed that complexity, when harnessed correctly, could enhance rather than hinder performance. Most importantly, it proved that innovation need not always be practical to be meaningful. For Honda, the CBX was both a triumph and a lesson. A vivid example of how audacity shapes legacy. The six-cylinder superbike may have been born for speed, but it ultimately achieved something far greater: immortality through inspiration. The Honda CBX1000 story is one of brilliance meeting inevitability. When it arrived in 1979, it stunned the world with 6 cylinders, 24 valves, and a sound unlike anything else on two wheels. It was more than a motorcycle. It was an expression of possibility. Over the years, it evolved, adapted, and eventually bowed out, but its influence never faded. Every time a designer dares to build something beyond commercial logic, the spirit of the CBX lives on. Today, the CBX1000 is remembered not for how many were sold, but for how deeply it resonated with those who encountered it. Enthusiasts describe it as a moment in time captured in metal, a rare union of power and grace. When you see one gleaming under sunlight, its 6 exhaust pipes curling like sculpture, you can sense the era that created it, when engineers were artists, and machines were their canvases. The CBX was born in that moment, a masterpiece carved from ambition. Its technical influence runs deeper than nostalgia suggests. The lessons learned from packaging, vibration management, and airflow found their way into later Honda motorcycles and even automotive designs. The CBX1000 proved that extreme engineering could yield practical insights, that art and science could coexist without compromise. It is a motorcycle that continues to teach long after production ceased. For collectors and riders, owning a CBX1000 is more than possession. It is stewardship. Maintaining one requires patience and understanding, qualities that mirror the philosophy behind its creation. The bike demands involvement. Every adjustment, every ride, every hum of that inline 6 reminds the owner that mastery is a dialogue between human and machine. It is not effortless. But that is the point. The CBX rewards care, and in return, it offers an experience that no modern machine can replicate. If you listen closely, the legacy of the Honda CBX1000 hums quietly beneath the surface of motorcycling culture. It reminds us that perfection is fleeting, but beauty created in pursuit of it can last forever. The CBX may have been a product of its time, yet its message remains timeless. That courage in design, no matter the cost, defines greatness. In the end, the CBX1000 achieved exactly what Honda intended: to prove that engineering could move people as deeply as art, to show that a machine could make the heart race before it ever left the stand. Its 6 cylinders may rest now, but their echo still vibrates through every bold idea that follows. That is the mark of a true icon. And that is why the CBX1000 remains one of the most unforgettable motorcycles ever built.